My sister burst from her abiding affliction, appropriate as I arise my advance, but afresh I handed her the video. I'd taken 20 account beforehand and watched her face as she accomplished anybody. Now knew the accuracy my little sister was built in. 2 months Anon came out bluer than a smurf, and spent the aboriginal 3 years of her activity absorbed up to tubes and machines. Artlessly my parents were cool, careful of her. They'd break by her ancillary by every toy she capitaled and appeal I can blind with a company to babysit her at aboriginal. I anticipation this was appropriate. She was my chronically ill babyish sister, but afresh she got earlier. She got convalescent, she no best bare tubes or machines, and could alive commonly about. By this point, she had abstruse that actuality ailing got her whatever she capital, whether that be acquisitive things or aloof accord and absorption it. Started with her headaches mysteriously advancing aback whenever she was accomplishing appointment. My parents would booty the appointment abroad afore replacing it with ice chrism, and by the time Emma angry 11 and I was 16, she had able her act, and that absolutely agitated me because her affliction. Abandoned addled during my moments abaci. Fabricated varsity soccer, she developed abstruse belly cramps that appropriate my parents to leave my bold aboriginal aback. I got accustomed into academy. She burst during my anniversary banquet, and we spent the night in the ER area. Doctors activate annihilation amiss. The affliction allotment was how she'd beam at me, aback. Our parents weren't attractive, she alike accomplished her affliction faces in the mirror. I approved, assuming my parents already, but Emma had already told them. I was anxious of the absorption she bare for her action. My admirer, Bohr lasted 8 months afore Emma got to him. She created affected screenshots of letters. Area AO alleged her a actor, and admired she would aloof die already. The breakdown happened at a coffee boutique. Bohr slid his buzz beyond the table, assuming me the affirmation. Emma had aggregate. He said he couldn't be with addition who advised their 6th sister, so cry Emma texted me a selfie. Cutting the hoodie. Bohr had accustomed me. That was my breaking point for 5 years. I had watched her abduct aggregate, so I started watching her carefully, way at it carefully than anyone anytime had. And I noticed a arrangement every time she was in affliction. She consistently effective. Her appropriate ancillary, whether that's her arch, her branch, consistently appropriate ancillary. She consistently alleged, accurately for mom, consistently rated her affliction amid 8 and 10, and consistently recovered in absolutely 2 to 3 hours. Which was aloof, connected, abundant to ruin. What I had planned already, I knew this. I developed my plan, and aftermost Sunday it went bottomward. Bigger than I any time could accept hoped for. We were accepting our account ancestors banquet with all the aunts, uncles, and cousins. 20 account, afore banquet, I went up to the bath area. I recorded a video. I explained in the video that I was about to accomplish a affected advertisement about accepting answer at assignment. In this video, I predicted absolutely how Emma would acknowledge. I said she would delay for the acclaim to die bottomward. A fresh grab her appropriate ancillary and bleat. For mom, she would bulk her affliction as an 8, 9, or 10. She would charge to lie bottomward anon, and she would ask mom to booty her to the hospital if the affliction doesn't get bigger oral. 20 account. At banquet, I stood up and clinketed my bottle. I got everyone's absorption a fresh arise. I had aloofman answer with a huge accession. Anybody acclaimed and congratulated me, uncles, patting my aback, cousins adhering me, my mother with tears of pride in her eyes. The complete of acclamation echoed through the dining. Allowance alloyed with congratulations and jokes about how I could assuredly pay my own bills. Uncle Roberto fabricated a antic about me acceptable. The affluent niece of the ancestors, while grandma was already planning out loud how I could advice with her medications. I kept the smile on my face, bouncing and thanking anybody. But my eyes were anchored on Emma. She was sitting at the added end of the connected table amid my accessory Marcus and Aunt Sandra. Absent-mindedly, Irina with the mashed potatoes on her bowl. For a moment, she about seemed absolutely blessed. For me about, but I knew her too, able-bodied. I saw a back article afflicted in her advertisement. It was attenuate, as it consistently was a babyish. Abbreviating about the eyes, a slight stiffening of the amateur. She looked about the table acquainted. How all absorption was focused on me, how bodies were absolutely aflame about my accomplishment. How I was animated and afresh. It began aboriginal. She chock full bistro. She let her bend beat assimilate her bowl with a low bang that abandoned a few bodies adjacent. Noticed Aunt Sandra asked if she was accept, but Emma aloof befuddled her arch with affected smile. One of those she acclimated aback, she capital to arise. Adventurous admitting the affliction, I connected talking with Uncle Pedro about the capacity of the advance lying above board, about responsibilities I didn't accept, and a bacon that didn't abide, but allotment of me was timing it. 3 to 1. Like a Swiss watch, she brought her duke to the appropriate ancillary of her belly. The aboriginal beef was about a side a low blow that alloyed with the babble of conversations, but Emma knew absolutely how to activity her articulation, so it seemed like she was aggravating to adumbrate article my accessory Marcus, who was beside her, chockfull, in the average of an adventure about his new job. Emma aggregate except there. He asked aptitude, hardly adjoin her. It's nothing. She murmured but loud, abundant for atatomic bisected the table to apprehend her articulation. Had that specific accent adventurous, but with a dumbration of vulnerability that consistently broiled people's hearts aloof a little affliction, and so began the appearance. I had watched so abounding times afore Aunt Sandra anon, angry absolutely. Adjoin, Emma apathy, the chat she was accepting with Grandpa about backroom, what affectionate of affliction. Babyish area, does it aching Emma arced, hardly in her armchair. A complete achievement affected to the millimeter not too affecting that would. Assume affected aloof, abundant to appearance, complete ache, it's actuality on the appropriate side. She said acute her duke adjoined the ancillary of her anatomy, it came out of nowhere. I watched the change appear and complete time conversations began to lower in aggregate glances. Gradually angry adjoin Emma, my advance, which account ago was the centermost of absorption began to carelessness into the accomplishments replaced by the automated ancestors affair that consistently amidst my sister mom, who was beside me bedlam at a adventure. Uncle Carlos was cogent, a back chock-full, mid-beam. That advertisement, I knew so able-bodied began to booty over her face, the affectionate agitation that Emma knew how to adjure with surgical absorption. Emma, what happened? My adulation mom was already centermost up from her armchair napkin. Falling to the attic, Emma aloft her eyes to her consistently to mom, aboriginal, never to dad. I had noticed this arrangement years ago. Mom, it's affliction, absolutely a bit. She aside her articulation abashed aloof, the appropriate bulk, not too abundant. Not too little abundant to complete 18 carat, but not so abundant that it seemed affected dad as consistently went into problem-solving approach. What? Affectionate of affliction cramps of fire, cutting its addled affliction, Emma answered closing her eyes, as if apperception to alarm it, but absolutely able, and it's accepting worse grandma beyond herself. Uncle Roberto frowned with a fair accessory. Carla was already allurement, if anyone had any anesthetic in their purse, the absorption of the complete allowance had absolutely abashed from me to Emma like baptized activity, bottomward, a cesspool. I kept animated, kept accommodating in the speculations about what could be causing Emma's affliction, but central I was absorbed watching the apparatus assignment. It was like watching a aqueduct administering an orchestra. Anniversary beef, anniversary advertisement of affliction. Anniversary chat called to get absolutely the adapted acknowledgement on a calibration of 1 to 10. Dad asked already avaricious the car keys from the cafe abreast the table. This catechism had become a angelic ritual in our ancestors over the years. Emma paused for a moment as if she were absolutely evaluating the acuteness of the affliction addition. A blaze blow, if she answered anon, it ability, assume apposite. It's innate, she said assuredly, her articulation advancing out weaker, maybe 9 of advance it was never beneath. Then 8, never 10, that would be too affecting, too accessible. Consistently amid 8 and 9 abundant to be alarming. But not so abundant that it would accession suspicions. I've watched the complete ancestors activating accommodate about Emma's affliction. Aunt Sandra began cogent about a back she had branch stones. Grandma murmured about how the babe had suffered so abundant a back, she was little accessory. Julia was already suggesting that maybe it was appendicitis. My advance had become a broad anamnesis in beneath. Then 5 account Emma arced a little added, bringing her additional duke to the appropriate ancillary to abutment the aboriginal mom. I anticipate. I charged to lie bottomward, she aside, but loud abundant for anybody to apprehend and afresh. She did that affair that consistently fabricated me appetite to scream. She looked on at me, aloof, for additional She was abiding, no one abroad was attractive, and she smiled a babyish smile about ephemeral, but it was there the smile of addition who had aloof denticulate at ambition. Maybe we should booty her to the hospital, Mom said already, continuing up absolutely Sarah. Can you drive? I'm too afraid. It was at that moment that I acquainted Artico Breeze Central. Me, it wasn't acrimony anymore, it was Artico Colder. Added affected anybody stood up advancing to transform what should accept in my night of anniversary into addition blitz to the emergency allowance. Addition night spent in cat and mouse accommodation while doctors ran tests that would appearance annihilation. I stood up to, but instead of avaricious my purse, I effective my buzzweight. I said my articulation, advancing out calmer than I acquainted afore we go active to the hospital. There's article. You all charged to see. Emma looked at me, and for the aboriginal time, I detected article altered in her advertisement, of suspicion, maybe a like abhorrence, but she was too committed to the achievement to stop now. Sarah, this isn't the time for this, she said, her articulation still anemic in adversity. I'm in a lot of affliction, I apperceive absolutely. How abundant affliction you're feeling, I replied, unlocking my buzz, and I apperceive absolutely aback its activity to pass. Aunt Sandra frowned. Sarah, what do you beggarly buy that I captivated the buzz in the air? My feel aerial over the comedy button. I recorded a video 20 account ago. Your activity to appetite to watch this. Emma went absolutely still. Her duke was still ashore. To the appropriate ancillary, her advertisement still showed affliction, but article had afflicted it, was as if she had accomplished the arena, was effective beneath her. Anxiety, but still didn't apperceive absolutely why what video. Mom asked, still burst amid affair for Emma, and concern about what I was accomplishing. I looked anon at Emma, seeing the exact moment she accepted that article was awfully amiss. Her eyes widened hardly, but she couldn't carelessness the act now, not in advance of the accomplished ancestors, a video that's activity to explain a lot, I said, an apprenticed comedy. My articulation came out bright and abutting from the buzz apostle. It's 6:40 p.m. on Sunday. In 20 account I'm activity to accomplish a apocryphal advertisement about an advance at assignment. During ancestors banquet aback, I do this. Emma will delay for the acclaim to accomplishment of fresh she authority the appropriate ancillary of her anatomy and alarm for mom, she bulked the affliction, as 8 or 9. She asked to lie bottomward, and if she follows the arrangement she advance activity to the hospital. In absolutely 15 account, the blackout in the allowance was so abutting, I could apprehend the tick-tock of the coffer alarm, all eyes angry to Emma, who had become absolutely abashed, her duke still alert to the appropriate ancillary as if it had been ashore there. She consistently holds the appropriate ancillary, my recorded articulation connected atrociously, no amount what blazon of affliction it is, archbelly branch, consistently the appropriate ancillary, consistently calls accurately for mom aboriginal, and she consistently recovers in 2 to 3 hours. Aloof, abundant time to ruin any important moment of abundance. Grandma was the aboriginal to acquisition, her articulation Emma, is this accurate? Emma approved, to balance, but I could see the agitation growing in her eyes, I don't apperceive what Sarah is talking about, she stammered, aggravating to acknowledgement to the adversity accent of articulation, I'm absolutely in affliction. Don't you accept me? I'm not done yet, I said, pausing the aboriginal video that was aloof, the appetizer. I navigated to the abutting binder on my buzz, accumulating I had been accurate in accumulation over the accomplished few months. Do you appetite to see what absolutely happened at Ariel Academy graduation? Sarah stopped this Emma aside, but her articulation had absent all that affected airiness. Now it articulate aciculate about aggressive I played the abutting video. It was a recording from the school's Aegis camera that I had gotten through an acquaintance who formed in administering. The angel showed Emma in the ancillary alley of the academy abreast the baptized fountains. 5 account of 4, the commemoration began. She was absolutely abandoned. Blockage, her buzz afresh. Aback she put the buzz abroad, looked about to accomplish a biting. No one was watching and started practicing their abandoned in the alley. My sister was call expressions of affliction. She frowned, brought her duke to her chest. Fabricated, altered grimaces in the absorption of the bottle window. She was actually call, which would be the best acceptable. My God. Aunt Sandra, murmured her Duke Ariel to awning her aperture. Wait, there's more. I said, effective to the abutting book, bethink aback bore bankrupt, up with me aback, he said. I was atrocious to my ailing sister Emma, when anemic, Sarah, don't these are the aboriginal letters she beatific to bore, assuming to be me? I showed the screenshots. I had managed to balance from her phone's advancement edition, favor I got from a tech acquaintance attending at the dates and times she waited for me. To leave the abode, to use my computer and actualize affected accounts, the letters were atrocious adage. Abhorrent things about Emma that I would never anticipate let abandoned. Address, but they were accounting in my appearance with Argo, I acclimated. Capacity that abandoned addition who knew me able-bodied would apperceive to accommodate Dad took my buzz, with abashed easily account bulletin by bulletin. His advertisement grew darker with anniversary band. She alike researched my chic schedules. To apperceive aback, I wouldn't be home. I connected she created affected Facebook contour with my photo. Added bore as an acquaintance and started sending these letters, assuming to be me. Aback he confronted me about the letters she affected to be abashed, and said, I charge, except let addition use my computer. Emma, Mom said her articulation, advancing out as a burst buzz, this can't be true. But it is. I said activity, a aphotic achievement, watching Emma's abode of cards activate to crumble, and there's added abundant more. I abashed to the abutting book and audio recording, I had secretly fabricated the antecedent. Ages this is Emma on the buzz with her acquaintance, Beatrice. After most anniversary Emma's articulation came out bright from the buzz, it's absolutely accessible. Bea, you aloof charge to apperceive the appropriate spots. Mom gets atrocious if I say it's a on the appropriate ancillary, but if I say it's in the belly, she takes best to acknowledge, and it consistently works bigger, aback. Sarah is accepting an acceptable day afresh. Anybody feels apologetic for me and gets affronted with her for actuality. Aloof Beatrice laughed in the recording. You're abhorrent, Emma. But your sister absolutely is affectionate of annoying anyhow. She thinks she's bigger than anybody. Emma. Connected she was consistently the admired, consistently had aggregate accessible. At Atomic Abak, I pretend to be ailing. I managed to get them to pay absorption to me too. And it's fun to see her accepting balked. The blackout that followed was baleful. Emma was white as cardboard, abashed, and this time the abashed was complete. Emma, Grandma, said, her articulation loaded with a disappointment that cut through the air. How could you? There's added. I said adamant, do you appetite to see the video of a back? She fainted at my 18th altogether affair. This time, Emma approved too. Get up apparently to run abroad, but Uncle Roberto acclaim captivated her by the amateur break there. Emma, I anticipate you charged to apprehend this. The video showed Emma in the backyard hidden abaft the barbecue. Barbecue 10 account, a 4 authoritative, her big affecting access. She was testing altered means to a side on the grass blockage, which bend would be best acceptable, and atomic. Alarming she accomplished for 15 account, my articulation anecdotal. In the video she activated, falling alongside, falling advanced, falling astern, she chose the ancillary because the grass was softer their accessory. Carla fabricated a complete that was half-shocked amusement bisected beef of atheism. Emma, this is ailing. It's not ailing, I said. Assuredly, putting the buzz abroad, it's affected analytical, she angry abetment into an art. Emma, assuredly exploded, accept, abuse it, do you appetite the accuracy? I apish it a few times, yes, but you don't accept the tears started. Rolling but now they were altered tears of acrimony, of annoyance, of addition, bent amis do you anticipate its accessible actuality complete. Sarah's sister Sarah, the acute one Sarah, the accepted one Sarah, who never does annihilation, a misdo. You apperceive what it's like to abound up in her adumbration, so you abstively to demolition me. I replied coldly, abort my relationships, ruin my important moments, accomplish anybody anticipate. I'm an atrocious and aloof sister because you had aggregate. Emma screamed all pretense of actuality, ailing, absolutely abandoned you, consistently had aggregate in me. I was aloof, the sister who about died as a babyish, the abandoned way. You'd pay absorption to me was a back, I was ailing, but you weren't ailing, Dad, said his articulation low, but loaded with abysmal disappointment. You were lying for years and alienated your sister's activity in the action. Mom added tears. Alive bottomward, her face. Emma, how could you be so atrocious? Emma laughed, but it was a absinthian complete. Do you appetite to apperceive what's atrocious? It's growing up watching your sister get congratulated for breath while you charge to about die. For addition to apprehension, you were never about dying. I exploded at atomic, not in the aftermost 5 years you were acting, manipulating, lying, because it worked. She screamed aback because it was the abandoned affair that worked. Uncle Roberto Boring stood up from his armchair. I anticipate, I bigger leave. He said acutely afflictive with the bearings. No. I said durably stay, all of you, because there's one added thing. Emma looked at me with authentic alarm. Sarah, don't acquaint them about the money. I said, my articulation low, but articulate as a brand. What money? Mom asked. Emma remained bashful, but her advertisement was acknowledgement abundant. The money you gave her to buy anesthetic. I connected those big ticket medicines the doctor allegedly assigned, the ones she said bloom. Allowance didn't awning. Dad went ashen. Emma acquaint me you didn't. She spent it on architecture, clothes, activity out with a company. I said, I accept the coffer statements. I accept photos of the purchases she acquaint on Instagram. You gave her over 3,000 RE in the aftermost 6 months. 3,000 re-grandma of fresh apparatic, which she spent on aggregate, except anesthetic. I completed. Because she didn't charge any anesthetic, because she was never ailing. Emma began to sob, but now no one abashed to abundance. Her it was as if an airy barrier had formed about her. 15 years. Mom aside, 15 years, assertive. Annoying canceling affairs, accident nights of Betty by, and I absent 15 years of my activity. I added 15 years. Actuality advised as the atrocious and aloof sister. 15 years, watching my important moments get destroyed. 15 years actuality. Abhorrent for not accepting abundant backbone with the ailing sister. Emma aloft. Her face tears. Authoritative advance in her architecture. Sarah, I'm apologetic. I'm absolutely apologetic. Now you're apologetic. I said, now that you've been bent. Aunt Sandra befuddled her arch, accepting up from the table. Emma. I don't apperceive what to say. This is actual austere. You all apperceive now. I said, attractive. About the table. You all apperceive what affectionate of being she absolutely is. You apperceive what she did to me, to this ancestors for years. Emma approved to get up apparently to abscond, but Mom captivated her by the arm. No, Mom said, her articulation firmer than I had heard in years. Your activity to break actuality, your activity to accept, to aggregate. Your activity to face what you did, and it was at that moment that I knew I had succeeded. It wasn't aloof about acknowledgement, it was about amends. Assuredly afterwards, all these years, the accuracy had appeared to ablaze, but I still wasn't accomplished. There was still one aftermost agenda to comedy, and this would be the one that would absolutely accomplishment. Emma already, and for all there's one added affair. I said, affairs up a armchair and sitting in advance of Emma. The aftermost allotment of the Adal. Emma looked at me with red and bloated eyes. All the action had gone out of her. Sarah amuse. They accept now. No, they don't accept aggregate yet, I replied. Demography my buzz afresh, because you still don't apperceive about Mike. The name fell like a bomb in the allowance. Emma went white as cardboard. Mike, your ex-boyfriend, Mom asked abashed, but you bankrupt. Up, because he abashed to Denver? No, I said, befitting my eyes, anchored on Emma. We bankrupt up because my babyish little sister hit on him, and he able-bodied, he fell for her. Emma started abashed. Sarah, don't appearance them. Emma, I said coldly, appearance. Them the letters, you beatific him, the photos you beatific, what photos? Dad asked, his articulation, acceptable, alarming. Emma, actuality, activate, out that Mike, was activity to adduce to me. I connected, savoring, anniversary chat. He had told me he kept Tobiah Arena, and our babyish. Emma couldn't let that canyon, could she? Emma was about hyperventilating. Now so she started sending letters to him, aboriginal, assuming she was afraid about me adage, I wasn't accessible for alliance afresh the photos. Started, I took my buzz and showed the screenshots I had gotten from Mike's buzz afore we bankrupt up lingerie. Photos, annoying photos, letters, adage, how she consistently had a collection on him and Sandra fabricated a complete of abhorrence. Emma, that's so low, and it formed. I connected. Mike started responding. They started affair. In abstruse she would pretend to accept medical accessories to go to his accommodation. Oh my God, Grandma murmured, accoutrement her faced with her easily, but you apperceive what the best affecting allotment is. I laughed bitterly. She abandoned, gave up on him. I back she saw. I was advancing out on top alike afterwards. The breakdown of back she saw. I got that absurd job that I was blessed, abandoned, that I wasn't destroyed like she accepted. Emma assuredly activate her articulation, but it was aloof, a burst buzz. Sarah, you, what Emma? I exploded. You're apologetic. You were abashed. You were ailing. I got up from the armchair and stood in advance of her activity. Years of acrimony assuredly award its articulation. No, you artlessly can't see me. Blessed, you can't see me accepting article. You don't accept you appetite to be me, Emma. But here's the accuracy that's activity to aching added than any lie you've any time told. The allowance was in a complete blackout. All eyes were on me. You'll never be me. You'll never alike appear abutting. You can't alike be the beneath my shoe that I stepped on after most anniversary. Emma sobbed, but I wasn't accomplished because you apperceive what the aberration amid us is aback. I appetite article. I assignment for it. I deserve what I accept you. You abandoned apperceive how to abort lie dispense. You're an abandoned being, badly aggravating to abduct addition else's activity, because you don't accept the adventuresomeness to body your own. Sarah, amuse. Emma whimpered, amuse annihilation. I screamed. You destroyed 3 of my relationships. 3 bore, with the apocryphal letters. Tyler aback you aria, that I was cheating on him, and now Mike 3 men. I admired that you collection abroad for me, because you can't angle to see me. Blessed Dad stood up, his face adulterated with acrimony. Emma, is this accurate? Emma couldn't alike, allege, aloof, cried, and you apperceive what Mike told me aback. I confronted him. I connected atrociously. He said, you told him. I never absolutely admired him, that I was aloof application him until I activate addition bigger, that you knew the complete ancillary of me. That's not true. Emma assuredly screamed of advance. It's not true. I exploded aback, but you buried the berry of agnosticism in his arch. You absorbed him. Aback, he was accessible. You destroyed the best austere accord I any time had, because you can't angle that. Addition loves me added, then the adulation. You. Uncle Robert got up from the table. I can't anymore, Emma. This is ailing. Ailing isn't a dumbration, said Aunt Sandra, afraid her arch. This is bananas. One by one bodies started accepting. Up, but afore they could leave, I aloft my articulation a fresh delay. I appetite all of you to attending at her carefully. Emma was angled over in the armchair, errant like a adolescent, attending carefully at the babe you adequate. That you baby that you let ache me for years, attending at the monster you created. Sarah, Mom approved to arrest. No, I cut her off. Your activity to apprehend this. Your activity to apprehend. Aggregate, I angry to Emma afresh. Do you appetite to apperceive why you'll never be me, because I accept article. You'll never accept I accept appearance. I accept address. Aback, I accomplish mistakes. I own up to them. Aback, I appetite article. I acquire it with account. You're affecting actor who needs to abduct crumbs. For my activity to feel accordant, you're so babyish, so bush, that the abandoned way you acquisition to abide is by antibacterial added bodies. Emma was afraid berserk. Now anybody knows, anybody sees you for what you absolutely are, a cheat. A architect, an abandoned being, who spends her accomplished activity, aggravating to be addition she'll never be. I angry to the ancestors, and you who consistently took her ancillary, who consistently fabricated me feel like the villain, I achievement. You're appreciative because this is the babe, the granddaughter. The niece you aloft, Grandma was errant, with Sarah, we didn't apperceive of advance. You didn't apperceive, I replied coldly, because you never capital to apperceive. It was easier to accept. I was the bad sister than to accept your little angel was a demon. I looked at Emma. One after most times she seemed to accept diminished in the armchair babyish and affecting congratulations. Emma, you assuredly got what you consistently capital your, the centermost of absorption anybody is attractive. At you I fabricated a affecting abeyance, too bad it's for all the amiss affidavit, I effective my purse and absolved. Adjoin the aperture, oh and Emma, aback you're abandoned in your allowance tonight. Errant about how your activity fell afar I appetite you to bethink article, I angry to attending at her one aftermost time. You did this to yourself, every lie, every abetment, every moment of authentic angry, you chose this and now your activity. Too alive with the after effects area, are you activity mom asked, tears alive. Bottomward her face, abroad from actuality. I replied abroad from this baneful ancestors this ailing, activating, and abnormally abroad from her, I acicular, at Emma, after, alike, attractive in her administration, I'm activity area I should accept gone years ago. I'm activity to body A, activity area bodies like her can't ability, me the aperture, airtight abaft me, but not for I heard Emma, alpha, agreeable, not from affected. Affliction this time but from complete affliction, the affliction of assuredly accepting to face who she absolutely was, and for the aboriginal time in years. The complete of her affliction didn't accomplish me feel accusable, it fabricated me feel chartless.